Justinian also marries Theodora, who's a woman who's a former sex worker, which is a controversial choice. By this point, he's a senator and is holding all of these top generalships. And then he becomes emperor.
She was also very influential, yes?
Very powerful, yes,
Very powerful.
during his reign. So the interesting thing about Justinian's choice of, let's say, associates, and that includes his wife, is that he seems to have just gone for people he thought were talented or that would be good for him as a ruler, rather than their social class or prestige. And so he accumulates around him quite a motley group of odd, sometimes these kinds of disreputable people. But they did what he wanted them to, and they with lasting consequences for world history. So he has an eye for talent, and he doesn't hesitate to pick people that others might look down on if he thought they could get the job done. And these are some of the attributes that enable him to be as successful as he was. So that's his background. He's a Latin speaker primarily, but he knows Greek too.
So here he is, but he had, like I mentioned, the wars of conquest. He also overhauled the Roman law.
He appoints a committee,
Yep.
As one does, to just take the whole of Roman law and condense it into what today we call the Corpus Juris Civilis, which is the body of Roman civil law. And this was a massive work of codification, and it is our main source for Roman law. Overwhelmingly, what we call Roman law is what Justinian's committee, and specifically this character called Tribonian, who was a very accomplished jurist, said it was.
And did that persist through time? Did that last?
Yes, still to this day. When you study Roman law, you're studying Tribonian's committee.
And so, in terms of our modern society, how much of impact did that have? This codification, this stable law that ran the East Roman Empire?
Well, I mean, Roman legal concepts pervade everything from philosophy to political thought to actual Roman legal practice. I mean, it depends on what country you're in. So in many of the countries of Europe, it is the current law, and it to some degree. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but legal scholars have to study Roman law. Even law students have to do that. Not in so much in countries like the United States or Britain, which have the so-called common law system. But ideas in Roman law about, for example, property, right, ownership, things like this, these were hugely important in formulating ideas, for example, about sovereignty in political thought. Yeah, it's one of the most important and influential acts of committee work ever done in Constantinople.
So going to Perplexity here and looking at some aspects of the Justinian's laws, they include a systematic structure of private law, persons, things, actions, strong protection of property and contracts, detailed family and inheritance rules, and a hierarchical status-based view of persons. These elements became the template for later civil law systems. And some overall structures, tripartite schema, law organized around personae, legal subjects, things, and procedural actions. Essentially, who, what, and how of private law. And it goes on. I mean, a lot of things I'm reading here really sounds like what we think of as law.
Yeah.
Marriage.
Look, most of it's about property.
Yeah. Marriage is a legal status. Lawful matrimony required conformity to rules about age, citizenship, and connubium or prohibited degrees, incest rules, adoption relations, etc. All that kind of stuff.
Oh, yes. Who you can marry, who not.
What was their view of homosexuality?
Well, I mean, Justinian thought it caused earthquakes.
Did it?
Yes.
Did it?
Yes.
Wow. That's fascinating.
No, for him, for Christian emperors or Christian authorities, this is a reprehensible immoral act. Depending, it could be punished. Justinian did try to punish it pretty brutally. I mean, ultimately, lethally. However, this gets really tricky here because what counts as a homosexual act is not clear to everybody, right? And in addition to which, this is a society that generally will not go after, let's say, scandals or deviants or however you want to call it, like systematically. This is not like there's no inquisition. There's no social police. If there's some sort of scandal and this comes out, then it's a problem. But they're not actively going to track down, hunt down, monitor, survey, interrogate people about their sex lives. I mean, it is in a way, despite having views that we may not agree with about sexuality, it was generally humane in the way of just kind of leaving people alone.
I mean, that said, there's some, I'm just on Perplexity, looked up Justinian Roman law view of sexuality. They're pretty harsh on like adultery and just getting freaky with it.
No, Justinian was more zealous in this matter, definitely.
Even though he married a sex worker.
Well, sex work wasn't illegal.
Right, but it's a bit spicy.
Yes, and in fact, it was illegal for a senator to marry someone from such a disreputable profession, and he got his uncle to pass a law changing that rule so that he could.
Well,
yeah,
love knows no bounds.
Actually, Justinian kind of says that in one of his laws.
Oh, well.
No, he clearly loved her. There's no question.
Actual love. I mean, you'll have to like this guy. Start as a peasant, surround himself by all kinds of weirdos just because they were good at what they did, and it doesn't really matter class or not.
Yes, but there's a lot to be said against him too. I like so much.